Why is it almost impossible to kill the President of the United States? Because the President isn't just a person. He is the most protected individual on Earth. But that wasn't always true. Over the last 150 years, a series of failures, tragedies, and near disasters forced America to build something extraordinary. A security system so layered, so rehearsed, and so relentless that today, harming a US president would require defeating an entire invisible machine. So, how does that machine actually work? And what would happen if someone tried? For most of American history, the president had surprisingly little protection. Citizens could walk into the White House. Public events were loosely secured. The idea of surrounding a leader with heavy guards felt un-American, almost monarch-like. The country had fought to escape kings, not recreate them. But accessibility came at a cost. Between 1865 and 1963, multiple American presidents were assassinated. Each tragedy shocked the nation, yet meaningful structural reform came slowly. The assumption persisted that tradition and respect were enough to keep a leader safe. According to new reports, the level of protection had reached an entirely new scale. By the 1960s, however, the United States was no longer just a young republic. It was a global superpower. The president was no longer only a domestic political figure, but a geopolitical symbol. Yet security systems had not fully evolved to match that reality. When tragedy struck in Dallas in 1963, it did more than end a presidency. It exposed vulnerabilities in plain sight: public motorcade routes, unsecured vantage points, inconsistent protective coordination. In a matter of seconds, the illusion of safety collapsed. That moment became a turning point. Protection would never again be treated casually. After that event, the Secret Service underwent a dramatic transformation. Budgets increased, recruitment standards rose, training became far more rigorous. But more important than funding or manpower was a shift in philosophy. The new doctrine was simple: zero fail. Not minimal risk, not acceptable risk. Zero. Because the consequences of losing a president in the modern era extend far beyond personal tragedy. Financial markets react instantly. Foreign adversaries assess weakness. Public confidence shakes. The presidency had become too central to global stability to leave anything to chance. Today, presidential protection operates in carefully constructed layers. Long before a public event is announced, intelligence units assess potential threats. Individuals making alarming statements online can be investigated weeks in advance. Locations are scouted days before arrival. Agents inspect rooftops, parking garages, ventilation systems, and even underground access points. Every entrance and exit is mapped. Backup evacuation routes are prepared. Nothing is improvised. Access to events is tightly controlled. Guests may pass through metal detectors. Background screenings are conducted. Perimeters are established in expanding rings, each monitored by different teams. Beyond the visible agent standing near the president, there are counter-assault units positioned strategically, trained to respond within seconds. Their role is not symbolic presence, but rapid neutralization of any emerging threat. Simultaneously, extraction teams remain ready to move the president instantly if needed. The goal is not merely to react to danger, but to suffocate it before it reaches its target. Ironically, the most dangerous moments are not during speeches, but during transitions. Arriving at a venue, exiting a building, moving between secure and semi-secure zones. These brief windows create vulnerability. That is why movements are choreographed with extraordinary precision. Vehicles are positioned strategically. Agents study crowd density and sightlines. Even what appears spontaneous is often carefully calculated. Then there is the presidential limousine, commonly referred to as the Beast. Far from an ordinary vehicle, it functions as a mobile fortress. Reinforced armor, specialized glass, sealed compartments, and independent communication systems allow it to operate under extreme conditions. In a crisis, it becomes a moving safe room, capable of transporting the president quickly and securely. Yet even this vehicle is only one element of a broader protective system. Security extends upward as well. During major appearances, temporary flight restrictions may be enforced. Unauthorized aircraft can be intercepted. Drone activity is monitored. Modern threats evolve with technology, and so does protection. The security network surrounding the presidency adapts constantly to new risks, from cyber threats to unmanned aerial systems. Despite technological advancements, protection ultimately depends on people. Agents train relentlessly to sharpen reaction times and decision-making under stress. Simulations recreate chaotic scenarios, so responses become automatic. In real emergencies, there is no time for hesitation. The mission is clear: shield, evacuate, neutralize. Each role is defined, rehearsed, and understood without words. Yet this protection carries a psychological cost. For the president, it means living inside layers of restriction. Spontaneity becomes rare. Routes are pre-approved. Crowds are filtered. Every interaction is assessed. For agents, the work consists of long hours of routine vigilance interrupted by the possibility of sudden crisis. Most days, nothing happens. And that is precisely the objective. Success in this profession is measured by normalcy. So, is it truly impossible to kill a US president? No security system can promise absolute certainty. But today, an attack would require bypassing intelligence monitoring, penetrating layered perimeters, avoiding armed response teams, and overcoming rapid armored extraction, all within seconds. It would mean outmaneuvering not just individuals, but a doctrine refined for decades through hard lessons and constant adaptation. If the system works, the public never notices. There are no dramatic headlines, no visible interventions. Just another public appearance, another speech, another day. Behind that routine, however, stands an intricate network operating with one expectation: failure is not an option. Protecting the President of the United States is not simply about guarding a person. It is about preserving continuity, stability, and confidence at the highest level of government. And in that mission, almost impossible is the closest outcome to success. If everything works perfectly, you will never hear about it. No chaos, no emergency alerts, no breaking news. Just another speech, another handshake, another motorcade passing by. But behind that normal moment is a system built on decades of failure, reform, and relentless preparation. Thousands of people working in silence so that history doesn't change in a single second. And maybe that's the most powerful part of all. The safest presidency is the one where nothing happens. But here's the real question. If protection depends on preparation, discipline, and constant adaptation, could any system ever truly guarantee zero fail? Let me know what you think, because sometimes the strongest security is the one you never see. If you enjoy curious deep dives like this, subscribe to Fero for more. And if you found this video insightful, drop a like. It really helps the channel grow.